Here's what happens when a sitting president declares war on his own citizens, and why Chicago just became ground zero for the most explosive constitutional crisis of our time. While families gathered to celebrate Mexican Independence Day in Chicago's vibrant Pilsen neighborhood, President Donald Trump unleashed a social media storm that would make even seasoned political observers do a double take. But here's where it gets controversial. Trump didn't just threaten increased enforcement. He essentially declared military-style operations against American citizens. In a Truth Social post that immediately went viral, Trump coined the term Chipocalypse, a chilling play on the Vietnam War film Apocalypse Now. The president wrote, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning," directly echoing the movie's infamous napalm line delivered by Robert Duvall's character. The post featured Trump in military fatigues with helicopters in the background, accompanied by the ominous message, "Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War." And this is the part most people miss. Trump had just signed an executive order Friday, officially authorizing Department of War as an alternative name for the Department of Defense. This wasn't just social media theatrics. It was backed by actual policy changes designed to project what he called a message of strength. Governor J.B. Pritzker didn't mince words in his response, taking to X, formerly Twitter, to call out what he described as unprecedented behavior. The President of the United States is threatening to go to war with an American city. This is not a joke. This is not normal. Senator Dick Durbin, speaking at the 24th Annual Mexican Independence Day Parade in Pilsen, used even stronger language, calling Trump's post disgusting and labeling the suggestion of military deployment an embarrassment. But here's what makes this situation even more explosive. Behind the social media bluster, actual federal operations were already in motion. During a Friday night appearance on MSNBC's The Briefing with Jen Psaki, Governor Pritzker revealed that federal agencies were preparing to invade communities around Chicago like Little Village, like Pilsen, perhaps beginning early morning tomorrow. Mayor Johnson fired back with his own social media statement, framing the situation in constitutional terms. The president's threats are beneath the honor of our nation, but the reality is that he wants to occupy our city and break our constitution. We must defend our democracy from this authoritarianism by protecting each other and protecting Chicago from Donald Trump. The reality on the ground painted a stark picture of a community preparing for what many viewed as an occupation rather than law enforcement. The New York Times reported that ICE officials had requisitioned thousands of handcuffs, belly chains, leg irons, gas masks, license plate readers, and buses specifically for the Chicago operation. These aren't the tools of routine immigration enforcement. They're the equipment of mass detention operations. Priscilla Reed, a 76-year-old activist who attended the Pilsen parade, embodied the community's response. "We're organizing to document detentions, report them, and do our best to defend people who are detained. Cameras at the ready. So far, there haven't been any incidents, but we're prepared to document because that's basically what we can do at this point." Reed's words highlight a troubling question. When did American cities become battlefields requiring citizen surveillance of their own government? Kenneth Morrison, a Pilsen resident watching the parade from outside Cafe Jumping Bean, captured the broader implications. "It's disturbing that Trump wants to pick a fight." Morrison worried that Trump's inflammatory posts would reinforce negative stereotypes about Chicago, explaining that people outside the city believe the narrative that Chicago is a hellhole. They don't see anything like what we just saw a moment ago. They just think we're dodging bullets. The federal escalation became even more concerning when Governor Pritzker revealed that Illinois State Police had received direct communication from Gregory Bovino, a leader at U.S. Customs and Border Patrol and ICE, stating that troops are coming and that they intend to be in place by the end of this week. Meanwhile, hundreds of federal agents were reportedly being sent to Naval Station Great Lakes near North Chicago, prompting immediate protests from local residents who viewed the deployment as federal overreach. By Saturday evening, approximately 1,500 demonstrators had organized a march through Chicago's Loop, making strategic stops at the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Chicago Field Office, the Dirksen Federal Courthouse, and Trump Tower. Their message was clear. Chicago would not be intimidated. Viviana Barajas, from the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights, delivered a defiant speech at Congress Plaza. If Trump thinks his prevalent theatrics to undermine our sovereignty will shut out the passion we have for protecting our people, this is Chicago, and he is sorely mistaken. But perhaps the most powerful criticism came from Kevin Ryan, a 33-year-old U.S. Marine Corps veteran who carried a sign reading, "Veterans demand no troops on our streets." Ryan's military experience in Afghanistan, Africa, Europe, and at the Pentagon gave weight to his words. There's no emergency that would warrant the National Guard or any kind of federal troops. Our military is meant to deter and defeat military threats, not to police our cities. It's escalatory and dangerous. These people are not trained to handle crowds, to do police activity. They're trained to conduct war. Ryan's critique extended beyond military deployment to the broader ICE operations, highlighting a controversial aspect many overlook. They say that they're targeting criminals, but we all know that's not true. They have these outrageous quotas that they've been trying to meet, so they're just taking our neighbors off the street without due process, detaining them indefinitely without due process, and then trying to ship them off to third countries. The coalition against the Trump agenda, comprising dozens of organizations, including the ICIRR, Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, and Organized Communities Against Deportations, coordinated the downtown protest to send a clear message to Washington. Nazek Sankari, spokesperson for the U.S. Palestinian Community Network, framed the resistance in historical terms. Trump talks hatefully about our neighbors on the south, west and southwest side of Chicago, but he doesn't know our city. He doesn't realize that we have always produced some of the most powerful resistance in the U.S. This raises the ultimate question that every American should be asking. When a president threatens military action against American cities, are we witnessing necessary law enforcement or the early stages of authoritarian overreach? The answer may determine the future of federalism and civil liberties in America. What's your take? Is Trump's Chipocalypse approach justified law enforcement, or does it represent a dangerous precedent that threatens the constitutional balance between federal and local authority? The way we answer this question today could reshape American democracy for generations to come.